Hi everyone, it's Simone Watson. I am filming this on December 3rd, and I'm not sure whether I'll post it before or after the double book review that I um, filmed 2 weeks ago. So if you haven't seen that video, my grandfather recently passed away. So it's been a really basically November was hard. So if you uh, I don't know, just if you would keep my family in your thoughts or maybe prayers, I would really appreciate it. So that happened the day before I filmed that video, and that was 2 weeks ago. Um, but now I want to talk about synopses. Ah! Okay, so this is a writerly topic. Um, this is something that writers. So I am a writer, right? I write novels. I aspire to be a published novelist. And I have networked with a lot of other writers and I hear the things people say about synopses. And I also am an acquisitions editor. That means that I evaluate submissions that come in for a small press to make decisions on them or help make decisions on them. And so I have seen the kind of synopsis phenomenon or whatever you might call it from both sides of the table. And so, first of all, what is a synopsis? A synopsis is a full description of the plot of your novel. Okay, you may hear the word synopsis in other contexts, meaning other things. Movie synopsis is like not the same, but when we talk about a synopsis in the context of a novel and in the context of you querying or submitting your novel, querying it for representation or submitting it for publication, we are talking about a full summary of your book, beginning, middle, and end. And when I say full, I don't mean you need every single detail. The reason why I specify that as a full summary is because you need to include the ending. There is there's so many people that don't get it. They're like, well, why would I spoil the ending? If I'm an editor and I'm looking at your synopsis, it's because I am aware that the ending is going to be there. And we're kind of going to get into why I request a synopsis, but that's what you're supposed to do. You are supposed to tell the ending. A synopsis is not the same thing as a query where you kind of entice the agent with the different plot points, but you only go like 5 plot points into it and then whatever, and that would be like your, I don't know, movie trailer or something. Um, that is not what a synopsis is. A synopsis is there once you've already hooked that agent or editor and they want to know the whole story. Um, your next question might be, well, if they want to know the whole story, why don't they just read the whole manuscript? Okay, so this also goes along with the question of why do agents or editors request synopses in the first place? And I can tell you my experience as an acquisitions editor because, well, yeah, I'm just me, but I think that it will kind of reflect other people's views too, hopefully. I don't know, but at least you'll know my 2 cents on the topic, right? So we don't want you to write a synopsis because we're just like, cruel, and we think that writing a synopsis is just like a great type of torture because people seem to think that writing a synopsis is really bad. I understand it. I understand it's a long story. You're trying to condense it into 2 pages, and it can be really tough. And so I'm sorry for being sarcastic, but really, it is not done. We don't put it in place to torture you. When I first started being an editor, I didn't ask for synopses, and then I started to realize I needed to ask for synopses. Um, and this is why. A synopsis gives a broad, like bird's eye view of the plot without reading the whole manuscript. I am not judging the synopsis on the type of prose that it has or voice. Get voice. When you think about voice, you need voice in your manuscript, you need voice in your query, but when you go to write your synopsis, throw voice out the window. I actually prefer your synopsis to be very straightforward with me and not like whatever. But if it has a little bit of voice, you don't have to like just go change it. But we're not evaluating it for voice or for writing style. We are evaluating it for plot. A synopsis is like I wrote an article about this, right? And I was like, if you're selling me a car, and you tell me that the air conditioner is broken, I might buy it anyway because I'm like, oh, the air conditioner is broken, and I know how to fix that, so I'll just buy the car anyway. But if you don't tell me that it's broken and then I buy it, then I'm gonna be upset because you sold me something other than what you said you were gonna sell me. Does that make sense? So the reason why I need a synopsis is because when I go to read a manuscript or to, well, evaluate a manuscript to say, is this something I would want to acquire and then edit? I have to know if it's something that I, number one, love, and number two, feel like I can work with to fix. And so if you give me a synopsis, I can look at it, and if there are problems on the plot level, I can see those problems and either say, you know what, I think I know how to help this, or you know what, I don't think I know how to help this. I don't know how to fix this problem. Now, the thing is, your synopsis needs to be accurate. And if the synopsis is accurate, I highly doubt that it will change your decision, the acquisition's decision one way or the other. Okay, so what I mean by this is I wouldn't say, oh, the manuscript is great, but the synopsis is bad, so I'm going to reject the manuscript. Nor would I say the manuscript is bad, but the synopsis is good, so I'm gonna, no. Well, I just said the manuscript is bad. Most of the time, I don't ever think that manuscripts are bad. Most of the time, it's just that, oh, this needs work. Maybe it needs a lot of work. Maybe it needs more work than I'm able to do in a reasonable amount of time. Or it's just something that's not to my taste. I don't love it enough to do that work. But maybe we should talk about that in a separate video. But basically, I slipped. I shouldn't say that the manuscript is bad. We're not talking about manuscripts being bad. We're talking about manuscripts not being to my taste. But what I'm saying is, I don't think that your synopsis, given that it's accurate, okay, I don't think that it would usually help or hurt your chances with an agent or an editor. And so for me, I'm like, let me look at the plot. So say I'm like 20 pages into your manuscript and I'm like, I love the voice here, but I'm not sure about the plot. And I look at the synopsis and I'm like, oh, there's this huge plot level issue and I don't feel able or willing to fix that right now. So I'm going to reject it. But that's something that I would have found out anyway. The synopsis is telling me information that I would have found out anyway if I had read the whole manuscript. So from that standpoint, theoretically, it shouldn't really be hurting the chances of the manuscript. It just makes the whole process more, like, it makes the whole process faster. Yeah, I guess there might be exceptions to this, but I'm just saying in theory, it doesn't help or hurt. And then, oh, back to that question of, well, why didn't you just read the whole manuscript? Okay. There's a tough, how do I explain this? When you are an editor, and you're a new editor, and this may happen to agents as well, sometimes you feel tempted to read every manuscript in your inbox in its entirety. The problem is there can be a lot of them, and it can take a lot of time to read through all of them. And if you know, like, if you're going to reject a manuscript because you either it doesn't fit your taste or it doesn't fit with the the imprint of the publisher that you're with, or because, again, plot level issues, any reason that you're going to reject the manuscript, you'd rather know about that sooner rather than later, because then you can stop reading. And I don't want you all to be freaked out by this. Like, you mean you're going to stop reading if you don't like the synopsis? Ah! No, like, oh, this is like such a tough conversation to have. I had to have it with myself because I wanted to read all the fulls. I'm just like, I want to read all the fulls. I just want to read all of them in their entirety. No, because if I get to a certain point and I'm having doubts about it and I'm like, man, this is not something that I can help. It's not something that I can fix. And I know for sure that I can't accept it because I can't help it. It's better for me to know that sooner rather than later. But if I've read the synopsis and I'm like, maybe, I'm not sure, we'll see, then okay, then I can just continue to read and I can just read the whole thing. So I really hope this video was not depressing. Please ask me any questions that you have. about synopses, about submitting to an acquisitions editor, about small presses, and please don't throw tomatoes at your screen because yeah, I don't just try to reject people's manuscripts, right? And you're gonna hear this from like every editor and agent. We don't just try to give rejections, but if we have to give a rejection, we just want to know as much info as possible about the manuscript early on. Okay, so thank you for watching, and yeah, I'll see you Friday. Bye.